You're listening to Polymatic.media, episode 39 for May 20th, 2018. Welcome to the Polymaticast. Hey, John, how's it going?
Pretty good, Laurel. How about you?
Good, Yanny.
Oh, wow. I think that's been done to death, so let's skip over that.
Well, look, we got to get all our jokes out. Is it Poly or Poly?
Hey, you had like a thing with the Amazon thing, right?
Yeah, because when I say what's on my schedule, it goes right into saying the Polymaticast. Whatever. I mean, I could do it again. It's not important. It's just, I always find it funny that it does that. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. That was an internet thing that happened.
That happened indeed. Yeah.
And I kept a bunch of links in case we were going to talk about it. But there is one YouTube video where somebody did exactly what I was going to do, which was pitch shift it down or put a high or low pass filter on it so that you could actually hear the frequencies get shifted so that you could hear one versus the other very clearly in whatever register that you needed to hear it. So
there were several videos about where somebody cut out the lower part of it, and then you can definitely hear Yanny.
Yeah, or the transformation version of it, where the frequencies sort of overlap a lot, and you hear sort of a more yowie, not like yowie, but like yowie, something like that. Yeah,
it's a totally different subject.
Yeah, a totally different subject, not one we're going to talk about here. Outside of the internet rage over Yanny versus Laurel, I played the sample for somebody. I just say, what do you hear? And they heard, obviously, not Laurel. And they were like, you're screwing with me, man. I go, no. Then I saw him the next day. I said, okay, fresh day. And I hit the same page. And he's like, I hear the same thing. You're screwing with me. And I said, go play that for your wife. And then he played it for his wife, and his wife heard the opposite. And so same argument started.
They're all pot people. They're all pot people.
There's just some people who are really like get mad over it. Like, you're pulling a trick on me. I'm like, no, it's just, it gets in the whole conversation about people who are influenceable by all the Facebook stuff. Mismanaged misinformation, right? It's the same kind of, I think it speaks loudly about that same kind of problem when people think you're screwing with them.
The guy from Tested, Norman Chan, he posted a video of a thing where, depending on what you were thinking about, you hear something else, and that's even freakier. Well,
and that's why I did a thing about perception, whatever it was, for my Friday talk is live. It was just because this as a concept gets deeper. It goes into the point about, well, that's not what I heard. Well, it's also, there's this whole like layered cake of things that we stick in front of actually what the dynamics of our ear can hear. And then when it does come in, our brain starts to intentionally be influenced by other factors that are external before it actually gets to some part of our brain where we'll acknowledge what we determined it might be. And so aside from even though when you shift the frequencies into the registers for somebody who only can hear Yanny, they'll never hear Laurel because their brain is committed to not hearing it.
Well, it's the same thing with the duck rabbit thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
The image where it looks like a duck, and then you think again, and it looks like a rabbit, and then again it goes back to the duck?
I don't know if I've seen that one, but I've seen the similar concepts that are very early on where they talk about gestalt images. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's either a wine cup or it's two people staring at each other.
Yeah, it's same idea.
Yeah. And this is like a filmmaking idea that was applied, or I learned very early on in late high school, like early college stuff. was a topic that was talked about, perception and influence. And so maybe that's why I just should have a step up on this concept. But that was a conversation piece that I learned, basically college and high school. And so there's a lot of artful conversation about placement and contrasts, right, in there regarding that. Well, you're looking at the screen away from. Oh, I see. Yeah. I got it. Yeah, no, I've seen this before. Yep. Nope, I've seen it.
It's a rabbit duck thingy.
Yeah, with its ears back or it's the bill. So,
yeah.
And it has a lot to do with how we want to perceive the world, and even worse, especially if you. And I'm not intending to go on a tangent of, but religious or political context. I know all my mistakes never get cut out. All those mistakes they stay in, right? And your brain wants to confirm its bias about something because that's what you are willing the interest into, and then your perception is, I call it like filtered or seasoned with those things. So it's one of those cases. The perfect example is there's three people, right? And somebody that, let's say you have a girlfriend or a spouse or a brother or sister, somebody that you're generally close to, and they have a opposite opinion about something, and you say something to them, and in the same voice, the same presentation, the same everything, and they absolutely, your brother, sister, whoever that person is, doesn't hear it, and then the independent party imitates you exactly and says it, and your brother, whoever it is, that person B goes, oh yeah, I understand that, right? It's the same thing. Is some people just flavor their own external intentions on top of things. So anyhow, and that goes into our larger conversation. Is it Laurel? Is it Yanny? Despite the dynamics of what you're actually hearing, what is it that you are allowing yourself to hear? Right? What is the kind of filter that you're putting on things? And we will find ourselves. The example I've always given was I've said good morning to somebody and they're wincing at me, like because they've been attacked 100 times by other people saying good morning. I need you to do right, and so they're immediately applying a template onto me when they know I never do that to them. But they just immediately have put a psychological behavior onto it. So they don't hear, good morning, how are you? They hear, good morning, I need you to do something. Like that's what they're hearing. And so, I don't know. That was it. That was my longer, I did a better job in 30 seconds than I did right there. But but to the point is, you are going to get people who physically cannot hear those frequencies. And then you're going to get the people that, because they've already been externally influenced, refuse to commit to trying to hear what they're actually hearing. Instead,
I've also seen a lot of women say that they hear Yanny.
Yeah, so it's possible.
That seems to be a thing as well.
Yeah.
So,
you could tell people if you found somebody who had a clean slate on the whole subject, and you told them and it was Wani or Lani, right? And you already kind of stuck that in their head. Do you hear Laurel or do you hear Lani? They're going to probably say Lani, right? Because you put an external influence and filter into their head and made them committed on that. And then they're only going to hear that from now on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like the experiment that you could do. I wouldn't apply that onto any real victim. It's almost unnecessary.
Mm.
It's almost unnecessary.
It's like torture.
Yeah. Regardless.
Speaking of torture,
yeah.
So this week we have all our links on Polymatic /show 39, so 39.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have any links further in this thing, we'll
tack them
over
in.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of cancellations this week, and last week too.
Yeah. We say this month.
Yeah. A couple of them dropped, so I don't really care about Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't really care about Lucifer. I've never even watched that show.
Lucifer was not a good show, and in the void of not having anything else to really good to watch, I tried to watch it, based on someone's recommendation. And I Minecrafted through it. So every time I think about Lucifer, I think about those moments of what I was doing in Minecraft. So that's it's not a good show. It's a terrible show.
I've watched the Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's okay. It's not a great show. I don't really like it that much.
I didn't see what the funny
I think
was.
I picked up. Now, there's another show that I really like. And I'm really, really sad that it canceled Firefly. Yeah, I'm really sad.
I heard about that. They canceled it 12 years ago.
Yeah.
13 years ago.
It's too soon.
Too soon.
But the Expanse got canceled by Sci-Fi, but it's a really weird one because they have their production office, their production company's Alcon.
Yeah.
And they have all the rights and stuff. So they have, it's not Sci-Fi canceled it on their channel.
Right.
But it's still going on other channels right now.
Well, so the question is, what did Sci-Fi have its rights to, and how long does that contract linger before it can resurface in the U.S.?
Oh, they're shopping it to other channels right now. So that's what's going on.
I mean, so Hulu has been an opportunity placement for picking up a lot of stuff. So that's a thing. It's always a possibility.
Yeah, but Amazon has the rights, so.
Yeah, I don't watch it through Sci-Fi because I cut the cord a while ago. So if I'm getting my TV, I'm getting it through Hulu, combined with buying it directly for a season, let's say on something like Amazon. So it's very possible that licensing deal that Amazon has might be direct and not through Sci-Fi's licensing. So the cancellation might not affect me at all. Based on
if they don't get the money from Sci-Fi, which it was actually footing quite a lot of the bill, they will still have to cancel the show, right? But the ratings went up this week, so
yeah.
There's
I know there
talk
were a lot of people
still, continuing the show. So
yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people were saying, no, you got to watch live. It really does help us, and I'm like, okay. But I don't watch it live. I mean, I could have. So the places where I would watch something live is streaming. It is not actual cable number live. So I don't want to go on a whole big old tangent about the Nielsen rating systems and how incorrect and imperfect it is. But to that point, it's based on projections, right? So they look at a scale of 100 people and they qualify those people as 2 million people. So I was listening to H3H3 and we were talking about Ninja and he was talking about the streaming ratings and numbers and stuff like that. And this guy got, 600,000 concurrent, people watching, right? And then they were comparing numbers like basketball games, right? And so basketball games, 2 million people watch that one game in the, during the whatever. Yeah, fantastic. You know what that actually means in Nielsen ratings? It means 4 people in Middle America, not in the coastal, in Middle America, in Dakota, in wherever, right? In the Middle America is where they give the Nielsen rating things. And each of those people represent 500,000 people. So all they need is 6 people said that they watched the game, and then they give the TV station or the network 2 million on the ratings. And so the reality is that, Ninja is streaming concurrently. There's 600,000 people. But they
know exactly who is watching, right?
Right. Where the Nielsen ratings is not a one-to-one.
It's
based estimate on a badly managed over time, not evolved presumption and projections. And so that wasn't so much as a tangent of how imperfect it is. It's just not, so I picked 6 people or 4 people as an example. The numbers are a lot lower. I think the average representation is somewhere depending on your demographic, your vote or you wrote down on the card or electronically said you watched is somewhere in the range of, depending on where you live and whatever the whatever the geography is and the demographic they're trying to push based on what you represent is anywhere from 10,000 to somewhere up to 250,000. And it's not all Middle America. That is just a concentration point that they choose for things like the Super Bowl and or big TV, even with Seinfeld. Well, it's known to be popular. Not that many people are watching as much as you realized, right? So the
But
whole
it
system
was
is
really the week of people trying to save the shows that they like.
yeah,
There were so many Twitter, and there were so many hashtags. There were so many
yeah,
uh, things that they tried to do. They flew a plane over Amazon headquarters with "Save the Expanse" behind it, and then the company that put the plane up,
yeah.
they put out a tweet and they misspelled the Expanse. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's terrible. Well,
expanse.
the point
Smart move.
regarding all of it is that we've been in a shift for a very long time, and the people that are the decision makers that one put these things on TV and financially and fiscally support it, right, are the same people who are still basing their measurements on an old system that has been broken for decades. And the reality is, most people are not. That represent the larger population are not watching with air broadcast TV or cable TV as much anymore.
Yeah, sci-fi
That's
is
the
probably
reality.
dying channel.
Yeah.
They're probably about to get
Hmm.
you know.
It's been broken. It's been this way for decades. And while you and I have been a part of that, I wouldn't say pioneers, but part of that community for a very long time. I started watching Hulu when it was a viable opportunity, though it was the same 6 commercials all the time. Early as the beta of 2008, and I realized I was not. I was watching. I had my TiVo. I was watching traditional TV by a device that was grabbing the thing I wanted, and I was watching it on my own schedule and time. And they don't account for the TiVo as the watch number. They don't. They refuse it.
Yeah.
And it's not people refuse it. It's so again, this has been a known problem, and the powers that be refuse to accept it because they refuse to accept and model the same business for digital, right? Because they thought it was a competitor to their normal standard established 50, 60 year system.
Well, I think I haven't had TV since 2013, 2012.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I got TV channel with my internet connection, but it's like I never watch it, so I canceled it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually used my TV at all. I watched it for watching movies. I took it out of my living room, put it in my bedroom to watch movies.
If it wasn't for my roommate, I would have canceled the TV component a long time ago. Now, with that said, about the time I started doing that, it was also there was no reason to sustain doing that because Hulu was getting better. Hulu has a beta where they have live, TV, all this stuff. Everything was getting better by going a la carte directly with streaming. And as long as you have internet bandwidth to support that, you're solid. You're in a better place than you were if you're just paying for 900 channels of only 2 you might watch. Right.
What should happen actually is just make like a Kickstarter for TV shows or like series, right? So if you want to see something like, for example, The Expanse, just put out a Kickstarter that says, well, we've got these people involved.
Right.
This is the plan. We have the authors involved. Help us fund the show, right? And then you get the show at the end. Like you get a season.
You could do that through,
and you can do another season for I don't know what the budget is for The Expanse. It's probably very high because it's probably a very expensive show to make.
Sci-fi,
but it's not that far. It doesn't do that many things outside, so there's not much. It's mostly inside stages. That's it.
Right. It is. Well, you still have a lot of computer rendering and things of that sort. So you got to keep in mind that these production houses are. Aside from the creative aspect of it, the production houses, which are a machine, which Sci-Fi is on the cheaper side of budgets. They're not so bad as where the walls are completely cardboard with a marker, right? They're not so bad. They're not like super like YouTube super cheap, right? You can do things well within a budget, but if you really want to apply a nice production value, right? You gotta pay for companies that are going to, and more importantly, have the money to pay for, not a promise, like actually have the money up front to pay for people to have like a dozen people sit there and do your 3D rendering and all of that activity. And it is a machine because these productions are big, despite it only costing like a 10 million an episode or something. Now, I didn't even look up the number, but typically some of the more well-known TV production things of their time were roughly in like 3-4 million, where an NBC or a US like major network might spend 15 million an episode on something, right? So Firefly, I think, averaged somewhere around 3 to 5 million an episode. And that's because back in the, mid 2000s, Fox is willing to put extra money out for that. But your average TV show of something of that scale from a cable channel would be like not even $1 million, like $800,000, right? So TV shows that fit a very easy production format, something like Mad Men, right? It's all in the bubble. It's all in the ship in the bottle kind of episode, like early Next Generation, Star Trek.
Yeah.
Right. Even those things back in the 90s, those things cost anywhere from $1 million to $2 million per episode. And that was cheap, which is exactly why they made lots of them. Right. So, and yeah, unless it's wildly successful, you don't normally get full seasons. You don't get 26 episodes a year. You get 13 or 10.
Yeah, that's what we get now for The Expanse. So
yeah, and so The Expanse is going to be on that higher budget, but Sharknado cost probably less to make.
It's not as expensive. It's not going to be as expensive as, for example, Game of Thrones.
No, of course not. But then HBO puts money behind it. But HBO also has proven success in this area of making very good decisions and having high rates of success. Also, they're based on a subscription model, right? They get a percent, they get like cents on a dollar for every person that is part of the cable system that's part of the contract. And also, if you're just doing HBO Now directly with them, then they get a higher average. So they have a lot of money in the bank for these productions, and they spend a lot more money on the production, and they are they're the base reference example that most people try to copy cheaply. Because they were some of the first to do these things. They say, well, why can't you have a higher production than X million? Why can't you have large assembly casts? Why can't you say something meaningful? Why can't you have nudity? Now, part of their sensational format is there is written in the contracts that like we have to see a main character in Game of Thrones be naked, full frontal or behind or some combination thereof, like first episode. So when you get the first new season thing, expect someone to be nude. Same thing with Westworld. Same thing, right? So they have tactics there that don't need to be there, that are intentionally there to make sure that the success rate is high, so they can pay for it.
I think that's also an American thing, because everything that's new, that's scary for you guys. You're like really, really cringy when it comes to.
Especially in Westworld.
It's like, here in Europe,
Westworld.
It's a penis.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in Westworld, it's like, okay, we really didn't need to see that moment. Like not needed at all. You can imply that it was just fine. And I say that even with when it's somebody like Game of Thrones, we see full frontal Khaleesi. Why? What was the point of that? Like, there was absolutely 0 point for that, but there it is.
Yeah, you guys are so way behind the times in that.
Anyhow, tangents. Many tangents aside. Sorry, I'm the responsible party.
The Expanse though did have that. I mean, probably was censored on Sci-Fi, but it was not on Netflix.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, so yeah, no, I didn't see any nudity that I recall. There was a couple
It
implied moments.
it opens up in the first episode. Actually, the first scene is James Holden meeting with somebody. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to. I've only seen this, I think, by way of Amazon. That might not be true. I might have saw some
But
early stuff.
the sci-fi version is censored, so they remove all the
Yeah, I
bad
don't
words.
I don't know. I can't recall how I saw the first
Amazon
episode
does
because
not.
it's been a little bit. I can watch sci-fi stuff, some things like selective things like The Expanse on Hulu, but Hulu's contract with sci-fi is not the greatest, and sci-fi has been difficult, right? So Hulu's not a perfect outlet for all these things here in the U.S. for a digital perspective of it because ABC can get difficult, and Sci-Fi plays games with them. So over the contracts, so they're not reliable. That's why I went and just bought it for $30 or something on
Yeah.
straight out right there on Amazon.
That's a good way of doing it. And if they would
Yeah.
just do that in the rest of the world,
Mhm.
they would make so much money.
Well,
having to wait for like half a year before it shows up on Netflix here.
Yeah, but
I would buy that series straight away. Just if they just put it out there on Amazon, I'd buy that and watch it.
Here's the thing. So I do
week.
like some of the format of we'll give you the first 2 episodes, and then if you like for free, and if you like it,
Oh no,
then
I'm not
you can
talking
only-
about that. I'm talking about actually just making it available so people can buy it if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you have to wait half a year before you can watch it here. So it's going to take half a year before I can see it on Netflix. And then they're going to put it all online all at once.
Yeah. And Amazon's not a dominant party for you, right?
No. It's just it's not available on Amazon for us. I can get things from Amazon.co.uk or Amazon.nl. I can get stuff from there, just not this. I cannot watch those video series.
And that
because
sucks.
The distributor in Europe is Netflix. And that's all the whole rights issues. They're shooting themselves in the foot, but trying to be very protective of that stuff.
Yeah.
If they would just sell it where people would want to buy it,
I think, and again, like on my rant, it was just related to something about these things are big productions, and every party's got their hands in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
And you can't sell the cookie jar with the cookies without everyone getting their take out of it. And, it's just it's unnecessarily complicated things because of the way the machine works. But in the same respect, when the machine works well, you get good productions. So everyone wants their take out of it.
Season two for The Expanse was great because the week or the day after, 2 days after, it was on Netflix in the Netherlands. We can just watch it the next day.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's great. But now you're going to have piracy.
Yeah, I wish we had more of that more actively. It's interesting. I don't watch it this way. I pay for HBO Now directly, but I can subscribe it through Hulu or Amazon directly and still have access to the same bits and pieces of HBO's catalog, good, bad, and everything. If I wanted to do it that way. Now, the only area of this where it becomes a complexity is there are some shows that HBO will wait and delay until the next day. So, for example, Last Week Tonight, I can't watch on Sunday. I used to be able to, but they just don't allow it anymore. So I can't watch it when it's like that. I can watch it the next day.
But they put the main stuff from Last Week Tonight on YouTube, right?
No, they put a consolidated, shortened version of that. Actually, you miss a good 8 minutes of really good stuff. So they do put out a version of it, but it's cut down a bunch. It's just like a third of it is cut to be, so you get a more complete,
all the stuff around it, right?
More direct. No, we're not just talking like the opening and whatever.
No. What they do is put up the last part, so the main monologue,
right.
Whatever.
They put the core of it, but they even cut off the endings too.
Okay.
So it's if I watch that version, then I watch it on a day later because I'm being impatient. Now, my point of bringing this up is, well, maybe I ditch paying HBO directly, and maybe I do it through through Hulu, and Hulu's got their digital version of it when it's streaming live. I guess some of these things could be live actual options, right? And I could use it through Hulu's digital version of their DVR, right? And not, I can be set for having, gotten a live version of it, and I could watch it live. I could add that to my lineup, so to speak. And maybe that's the way I could do that if I was impatient. But the reality is I'm giving HBO money directly versus giving Hulu a subsidy of that, because they're going to add a layer of convenience. I can be patient for a day. So anyhow, outside of The Expanse, do you have any other TV shows that were canceled?
I don't know. These are the most high-profile ones because that's where everybody was shouting about. Because a lot of people were talking about The Expanse. A lot of people were talking about Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That got picked up
by NBC though. Yeah. So went from one network to the other.
Yeah, and they're getting and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got a half a season.
Oh really? Yeah. Yeah, they've been in trouble on and off for a long time.
Well, that show needs to end. That show needs to end.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm still watching it, but they have sort of pivoted so many times. It's just not what it was.
Well, it's because of all the movies. Well, every movie, they change something in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they have to move with it. So, for example, now that Thanos has I don't feel too good, Mr. Stark thingies, that's going to have some impact, I guess.
Yeah, I have not yet. I have not seen the Avengers third movie yet.
You haven't?
I haven't. I just haven't been in a movie theater in months. The same thing with Deadpool. These are movies I want to see. I just probably won't see them while they're hanging out in the theater. Unless by some magic tonight, someone says, "Oh, let's go see Deadpool tonight." I haven't seen it 9 times already.
So much fun. I watched it on Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
That was very entertaining. I have to say that there's a section where they have a piece of music, and it's not really a spoiler. It's just you have to listen to the lyrics when you hear like a one of those. I don't know. There are people singing. The singing was the music. It was pretty well done, and it sounded like some sort of giant space battle music thing going on. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's just they're saying "holy shit balls," stuff like that. It's so good.
Yeah, it's Deadpool breaks that fourth wall, and I really do enjoy Deadpool, even though they're really raunchy. Maybe I will pick up the phone to somebody. So, I have friends that have the propensity to go, see in the middle of the night situations. And then they go, and then, you say, "Oh, hey, I got time on the weekend. You want to go see the movie?" And they're like, "No." Okay. I saw it already 11 times, And, the 12th time, I need to wait a week before I can go see it again. And I have a lot of those people in my life. And so that's the problem why I don't see these movies very rapidly, because you kind of want to do it with people unless you pick up a matinee time, on your Saturday.
Well, I figured out that over here, we usually get the movies early. So we get them usually a day or two early because of, rights probably. If they only do that for TV series, that would be so nice. But I usually go with my brother to these movies because he's into superhero movies too. So that's the thing. And then we just go watch it early, and there's nobody in the theater. And then just because nobody knows that it's going to be in the theater, right? Some sort of testing theater probably. Anyway,
I wish my problem wasn't so much being able to see it as much as my friends are getting the jump on me because they dedicate more time to that kind of thing than I have the capability with my life schedule. Now, with that said, my buddy Matt, I could probably call him up tonight and say, "Hey, Matt, you want to see Deadpool?" And he's like, "Yeah, hold on." And he's literally a moment pulse away from knowing what the movie times are and where. And then I ask the question. Usually what happens is on the podcast, they go, "Matt, how many times have you seen it?" "Only 3. It's only been 2.5 days, Matt.
I'm going to rewatch Infinity War this week.
Yeah.
Because I've been to it once. And when I went to it once, I had like 40 degrees Celsius fever. So yeah, that was fun. It's like 3 degrees more than you should have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was 2 days later. I was in the hospital.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's just yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is the whole tangent. So okay, so the end of this long tangent. All right, so what do you hear? Firefly or The Expanse?
Okay, that was uncalled for. That was way too soon. Very uncalled for.
Or too late?
Have you seen the latest episode of The Expanse?
Yeah, I watched it last night. It's
I heard
good.
that something came out of Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends.
I've read the books, so I know what's going to happen, and I know what's going to happen next episode too, because I followed the Reddit, so that's a very good source of information. So I don't have to wait too long for stuff, and I can see the previews, stuff like that.
Yes. So you're up on it because of the book. You know what the story is.
Well,
so you know where
from
it's
what I
gonna
know
go.
is that the show follows the books pretty well. They've made some changes, but some changes to make, because of the time they have. They're gonna, I think what they're gonna do is put book 3 into the last season, last part of the season. So the last 6 episodes are gonna be book 3, because that book not much happens. A lot of stuff happens, just not, it doesn't need a season for that. So they're gonna shorten that. So that might, close off the series, and that would be not great, be okay, and they might start it up at some point. Just I don't know. I think that canceling the show is a very bad idea for sci-fi, but hey, they've been a channel of bad ideas, so
Right, sure. And I as in the same bad ideas, they made SG1 better for me, but they extended it and then they branched it. And I think some of those branches were good. SGU got better when they know they were canceled, and they knew that their days were ending. They just did what they wanted, and the network didn't really argue with them much. And so they got better, but then they canceled it badly, right? I mean, they ended it not great. And so
yeah, I think that they're gonna not do that with the Expanse.
Yeah. So the point that I was making with this is, while sci-fi has made very poor decisions, Sharknado as an example, they've also supported some probably fiscally bad decisions that has produced some better things, at least from my opinion. So, it's not that they have patience.
Battlestar was on
they're
Sci-Fi,
waiting to
right?
cash in.
Battlestar was in Sci-Fi, right?
Yes, it was here in the U.S. It was, but
Yeah.
it was also with Canadian production. Like the Canadian network and Sci-Fi split the bill, basically.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yep, that's how
But
those things got done.
Their
So,
their worst mistake was the rebranding of their name.
oh yeah,
Yeah, ripping on Sci-Fi. Anyway, so we have some fun stuff. Speaking of bad things, Ryan Reynolds and Josh Brolin insult each other. Polymatic.media/I2. Did you watch this?
yeah. I saw this before you linked it up, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
It's got its moments. So I bought, and it arrived last. It literally came to the door after we stopped recording last week. I bought the Zhiyun Smooth 4, which is basically a 3-axis, camera gimbal for smartphones. And the Polymatic.link/i7. So this guy's very enthusiastic, but he does a pretty good job of profiling what this thing looks like.
I was very excited.
There are some better links that actually show you what you can do with this thing. So Sydney doesn't really go down the line of explaining all the things. But it's given its price, it's $140 US. Given that price, it actually is pretty kick-ass. Now, so here's my only problem. I want a 3-axis gimbal, but I want something that can handle larger weight cameras, like an 80D, or my T3 is lighter than the 80D apparently. And so these early 3-axis gimbals really didn't work well for anything other than lightweight cameras like mirrorless cameras and stuff like that. So the direct result of this problem is that they couldn't handle the body weight and or plus a real lens. So people are like, oh, my smartphone is better than a DSLR, which is never going to be the truth. Absolutely never going to be the truth. But in today's world, in 2017 and 18, the Pixel 2, the iPhone, Samsung devices, some of the new ones are up and coming, like the OnePlus 6, whatever, plus 6 or whatever. Like some of the newer ones are really having some banging cameras in them. And so having a smartphone gimbal is actually a more reasonable thought when you just think about it. It's only $140 versus a $600, $700, $800 thing that could barely hold the weight of your 6-pound camera with a big lens on it. And I'm not talking like, telephoto that needs its own stand. I mean like a, 50 millimeter, lens on it. So I bought one. It was $140 versus, like a $300 Osmo or something like that. And it's pretty banging. It works really well. I played with it a little bit. I've not played with it a lot. But one of the things that it has, when combined with the software on your phone and the gimbal itself, it can do some really neat things. Like, for example, because it's got 3 axes and it's got motors and it can move, you could have it make panoramics for you. You could have it do a time lapse where you angle it up to the, I don't know, let's say 30 degrees upper left and then lower right. You can literally position the whole gimbal about to its angle, bookmark that, go move it around and go, to the far, 180 degrees, like normal eye level, and then say time lapse this thing, and it will take the pictures in the time lapse and motion time lapse it for you. So it's got all kinds of like things cooked into it, and the thing's only $140.
Can you mount it on like a tripod?
Yeah, it's got a photographic thread on it. Comes with a little monopole, like feet tripod at the bottom. So if you want to put it on an actual tripod, you could do that too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so for $140, so anyhow, that was a long story. It really should have been a more main topic piece, but that was Polymatic.link/i7. I had kickstarted something that was supposed to be a smart gimbal, not necessarily a 3-axis gimbal. And my problem with it is it worked just fine. It's not as nice as this device. And I spent probably like $200 because Tiffin Steadicam made a thing. But the problem is it, where my volume and power buttons are on my phone, it can't mount to this thing, where that Zune didn't care. It did a better job of holding my phone, despite the volume button.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, $140 I think is worth it. And this is a very enthusiastic video about the product.
He was very excited.
But if you dig a little bit, you can find somebody who did a couple part videos where he did all these tests and gives you sample videos of all the time lapses and all kinds of really cool things in the panoramics and stuff like that. It's pretty neat. It's neat stuff. For $140, barrier entry, yeah, I think that's affordable.
Okay. So next video is something from The Expanse. I Am That Guy, where the actor of Amos, who plays Amos, is watching the episode, latest episode. So Polymatic.link/i3 for that. He was very excited about that too. Okay.
So this is a thing, Freddie Wong, Rocket Jump. I've been subscribed to them since like way back. And so Fortnite Reloaded, they did a short video. I thought it was funny. I've yet to play Fortnite. Some part of me is like, don't play
totally
Fortnite.
Understand it. I totally understand it. I totally understand what happened there.
Yeah. But regardless, it seemed on its own context seemed funny to me. So Polymatic.link/i8. I'm sure all of you have already seen it by now, but nonetheless, you probably should check it out again. It's pretty funny.
And the next one is something I want to buy. So Polymatic.link/i4. It's one of those MOVA globes that has like a spinning inside with like
Mm-hmm.
Mars on the inside. It's pretty cool. I kind of want one.
Yeah, I was looking at it and I was like, I wonder if they. And I already forgot whatever I was thinking about, but I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, that's pretty sweet. Do they? I didn't look that far. Do they have more than one planet?
Yeah, they have a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
Different sizes too.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
there's a shop in the Netherlands that sells them, but they don't have an HTTPS website, so I'm not going to buy from them.
Got ya.
So
Okay.
I might just call them up and say, hey, do you have a showroom? I might just go buy one over there.
Yeah, and do a day trip or half
Yeah.
trip. Yeah. So this video was released somewhere recently this week. It was TEDx with the president of SpaceX,
Yeah.
which is not Elon Musk, right? The president, not the CEO. And she was speaking very intelligently about SpaceX intentions, and it's like a 20-minute video conversation piece. I thought it was nice. I thought it was good. And she handled the tricky conversations, I thought, pretty
Yeah.
well.
That
Polymatic.link.
interviewer, I didn't want to punch him. He was like, were you a
Polymatic.
little girl? As a little girl, were you really nerdy? I mean, come on, man. Really?
She handled it well.
Yeah.
Polymatic.link/I9.
Yep.
But it gives you a perspective of what their actual intentions are. And they did talk about Elon time.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is The Most Mysterious Object in the Universe by Physics Girl. Polymatic.link/I5, and that's where I got the I saw the MOVA globes and was like, what is that?
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to get one. So Polymatic.link/I5. It's about brown dwarfs.
Okay, so I guess I was not intending to have the last two links. I was assuming John would toss another one in there. But, so Polymatic.link/IA for surface animals. It's a little college humor video. Kind of funny. Did you watch this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then last, this is just, it's not like I'm trying to torture John with Labo and Nintendo Switch, but this TV show here in the US, when they do stuff like this, it's pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. Though, knowing how difficult it is to set these things up, man, I feel bad for the PAs that had to sit there and like set up all the instruments for hours on end just to program to be able to do these things. But Polymatic.link/IE,
Yeah, that was sad.
where the band uses a bunch of Labo switches,
Yeah.
but there's got to be what, like $5,000 in Labo equipment gear
Cardboard.
just right
Cardboard, Alan. Cardboard. Oh, that's so bad.
there. Yeah, but there's, I mean, how many switches were there? Well, at least 8, right? So that's what, 300 a pop? And then the Labo kits, I'm sure that they could probably buy half that because the Labo kits come with like the Max Labo kits, which are what, a couple $100 or something like that.
70,
come
I
with
think.
more things, more than
70?
one thing.
70, right? Per Labo
Oh, is
kit?
it? Okay. Yeah, so I'm sure they could probably buy half the number, like they get 2 instruments per switch, right? Now, knowing the group, they probably all had their own switches, so it probably cost nothing, for the production to do it. But even then, a TV show like that to spend $7,000 on a skit is nothing. So, I don't know. I thought it was cool.
Music.
Oh, yeah, all right. I guess that's me. So, Maisie Peters is someone I was following on YouTube for a moment, but she sort of inconsistently has not been putting out music. She puts out very little. But what I've heard over time, I liked, and I think what I was not on board with was like buying all her songs because there wasn't much to buy. But I heard about a song called Worst of You that is a recent release from her that you can only get streaming. You cannot, you can't buy it yet. And I really liked it. I thought it was pretty good. So I'm talking about Maisie Peters right now. Worst of You, Polymatic.link/IB. And then another song that you can buy, and this one will lead you to YouTube versus Spotify, Polymatic.link/IC. And this is Birthday. And then last is the controversial video that was a topic the day of we last recorded, not released, recorded. And this is Childish Gambino, basically Donald Glover, and his song "This Is America." And this will lead you to the video. It is controversial. Let me rephrase that. It is. There's a lot going on in the song. And there is a lot of graphic stuff, not necessarily safe for work. There's a lot of graphic stuff going on in the video. Polymatic.link/ID. Just remember that. Disclaimer is done. Now, a bunch of people put out some not remixes, but mashups where they take the video and they replace the song.
Yep.
And some of them are pretty good in terms of timing. They match up really well, and it changes the whole serious nature of the video and the song completely, because you don't hear the song. You hear, Call Me Maybe or Kesha or whatever.
So the next one is called Call Me America. Polymatic.link/IF, which is basically the video from like the start of the video.
Yeah.
Of This Is America.
They only do like a minute of it.
Yeah.
Most of these things are coming out on Twitter. Look, so small rant. In creating music videos, right? AMVs. If you are a good editor, you will match the rhythm and the implied beats and the actual musical structure of a song. And all the songs that you really love, especially pop music, all follow that same formula one way or another. There's like 6 variants. And if you follow one of those 6 variants, whether the artist intends to or not, those are usually the most popular songs. So if you do that and you edit to that really well, you'll hit the timing really well. And then what you end up doing is you end up making a banging song, and then you end up making maybe a banging video. And then what you can do is you can almost slip out that song from the video with something completely different that follows the same rules, and it almost lines up magically perfectly like that's what the original artist intended. And so this is the effect of that. Childish Gambino and his production, and also what they did with the video, all falls along a well-crafted, well-produced video and song that does follow these formulas. They happenstance to follow these formulas, whether the intention was actually, whether they were trying to do that or not, I don't know. I assume so, because they're probably all skilled professionals. So it's very easy to take a song like Call Me Maybe or Kesha that flows right into that pop formula really well. Mm. And so that's why this works. And so me being part of like the contest, eventually you get to see entries where they go, well, they edited a really good video. They got the concept of the video right, but that's a bad song. That song does not hit the right moments in the right fashion, or it doesn't say the right moments in the right fashion with the visuals. It chose the wrong visuals for the wrong implied intentions in the song. Now, I know that the artist intended that. That's what the result is. But then you can go, oh, well, that video also failed in the same respect, but that song fits better in that, and you can flip them, and a bunch of us would mash up songs and go, yeah, that was a much better video. And if those 2 people got together and entered that video, then they would have won the contest. Yeah. And so this is like that same kind of thing, like remixing and mashing up videos. You can make better videos by finding, or you can change the nature of the content, right? By flipping out the visuals or flipping out the song.
Yeah.
There you go. My rant's done.
So
I know, there's another 10 minutes.
So we've got one more thing, the book corner. So a book that I recommended a while ago, Not Alone. The second book is going to come out called Second Contact. It's on Polymatic.link/I6. The book is out. The audio version is going to be somewhere in July, I think. So that's going to be looking forward to that. I also bought the ebook, so it was not that expensive. This links you to the Amazon store. It's like $2 for the book, so it's not an expensive book. It was very good. So that was it, I guess. So Alan, where can they find you?
You don't want to find me on Twitter, but you can at CHAESS.
You can find me at WebDevy, WEBDEVVIE. For feedback, you can reach us at podcast@Polymatic.media. The music in this episode is by Say Uns, which you can find at polymatic.link/EK. Our Twitter is The Polymatic. Our website is Polymatic.media, and I hope you tune in next time.
John, Alan,